Okay, so do you want the good news or the bad news? The bad news is I had to record some content. I ran out of content. I ran out of content. So as you know, if you've been watching my content, you know the drill already. If you are not familiar with who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm even doing this, my name is Tariq Peters. I'm a brand authority strategist, right? I help founder-led B2B experts to build brand authority, which means that I help them to build a level of their personal brand with their business brand. And I use campaign brands as a way to incorporate both brands in a way that can allow them to reach that level of brand authority, to get more visibility and credibility. So their desired target audience, their ICP, whoever's looking to buy from them, are warm and they're ready to purchase. So that will lead into more leads, which will ultimately lead to more clients and ultimately more revenue for your business, right? So what I'm currently doing with this content, I am recording content, but I'm also uploading one long form video a day on YouTube. And I believe we are on day 75, give or take. I believe it's 75, but we are almost 100 days into dropping daily long form content. And it's been a journey. I've learned an awful lot. I still got a lot to learn and improve on, but I'm enjoying the process. But one thing that I'm not enjoying is when I run out of content and I need to record so I can stay consistent, right? And consistency is an important thing when it comes down to everything in life. In this particular situation, it's all about the content creation side. So with this, I felt, you know what? The good news, let me get into the good news. The good news is that despite the fact that I don't have any pre-recorded videos to just upload and get on with my day, why not make this a bit more insightful and useful for you? You took the time out of your day to come and check for me and see what I'm doing, see what I have to share with you. So I really appreciate it. And I want to provide you today with some serious value, value that you can incorporate. And you can even come back and watch this video again in a way that will allow you to learn how to incorporate PR into your brand strategy, right? But one thing I need to flag before I even get into the nitty gritty, right? When it comes down to PR, right, you get your first piece of coverage or you get additional pieces of coverage. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. And I've been in the industry for almost a decade now, right? So I've seen more or less everything. I believe I've seen more or less everything anyway. But one thing in particular that I learned throughout my journey is that PR never just stops once the coverage is out. Once the coverage is out, that's when the campaign begins. That's when the actual PR outreach starts even more, because now you have the proof in the pudding. You have that piece of coverage, you have that layer of credibility that you were looking for and visibility in some instances based on the fact that you were featured in this particular publication, this particular broadcaster, or this particular sort of podcast. The point that I'm making is that you've been positioned as a thought leader within your niche or your industry through the art of PR, third party credibility. You have been granted third party credibility because a publication or a broadcaster or a podcast has ultimately given you a platform to showcase your expertise, to showcase who you are and why you are the key person of influence and the obvious choice. So you shouldn't stop there. You should not stop there just because you got your piece of coverage and call it a day. My friend, that is when the work really begins. So in this video, I am going to break down the touch points where you can incorporate that piece of PR coverage and utilize it across your content strategy so that content can live longer. Because when it comes down to creating content, you have to understand that we need to be in a constant loop of content, right? We're always putting content out. We're always ideation. We're always developing ideas that we're looking to produce for the algorithms, really. We say it's for the people, but really if the algorithm decides who actually sees said content. But that is a conversation for another day. For this one, I'm going to get my trusty pen. If you're familiar with these videos, you know I got my new gadget now that I'm trying out. So apologies in advance if the handwriting is all messy and stuff. I'm learning in real time. And that's the good thing with these videos. I don't edit them. I'm just giving you my raw, authentic self. That's it. That's how I am. That's how you're gonna take me, unfortunately. If you are liking this, please like, comment, and subscribe before I even get started. Matter of fact, forget about even liking it. Like, comment, and subscribe before you even before you like anything I have to say right about now. Because come on, man, I'm dropping content every single day and providing value. So it'll be amazing if you can do that. So let me just get straight into it, and we can focus on the task at hand. How you are able to create 10 touch points based on one piece of media coverage, right? Let's get into it. Let me share my screen. All right, so let me see if I can get this. All right. So what we are going to do first, right? You get your first piece of media coverage. Absolutely fantastic. So we're going to put media coverage at the top. So, hold on one second. Let me use this pen. I think we're good now. Yes. Yes, it's working again. Media coverage. I think I might need to make the pen a bit. I think that's all right. So you get your first piece of media coverage. So I'm going to drop this down, and then we are going to break these down into various different areas. So I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do one here. And then I'm going to do one straight down. And then I'm going to add one here. And I'm going to add one here for argument's sake. So you know what I'm going to start off with firstly is this particular part here. So what this part here is, what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call this part authority. If you can see that, authority, let me cross my T's, assets, right? And within the authority assets, what I'm going to include in particular, because I think these are particularly important, I'm going to break these down, is your evergreen portfolio. Evergreen portfolio and your website press page. So ultimately, these are the first two touch points that I would say that you can focus on, right? So I'm going to put that as 1, and I'm going to put that as 2. All right, that was rough, but we're getting there. So now let me explain. So you start off with your media coverage, right? Fantastic. So now we need to consider the first elements in terms of how are you able to present that level of authority within your owned media, right? The things that you own and that you can establish as things that is direct to you. You have complete control over how it can be utilized, right? So that's why within this, and then let me zoom out a bit. There we go. Is that right? Yeah, that's cool. So the evergreen portfolio, I think, is one of the most important parts of developing those touch points, right? And the reason being, and I'll even use myself for an example, right? So I've been someone who's been very much vocal about PR professionals needing to learn how to PR themselves and how to put themselves out there in order to generate potential opportunities for themselves, whether it comes down to podcasts, broadcasters, publications, anything where you can be presented as a thought leader, right? And even for myself, I have an evergreen portfolio of all of the places I've been positioned within my journey of documenting and also positioning myself as a thought leader and being within various different publications. And the reason why I keep it there is because it's to reinforce, and like I always say, I lead by example. So the same way that I PR myself is the same way that I will use those techniques and strategies to PR my clients, right? So with that, I find it extremely important to have a drive, a Google Drive. That's where I keep my content. A Google Drive that you continue to update over time. Think of it as a living, breathing evidence piece to showcase that you are the authority you say you are. It has all your coverage pieces in it where you've been presented as a thought leader, right? And then that is something that you can actually have readily available for anyone that's interested in seeing your work as reference points. And it's been even useful for me that I've been able to use this portfolio, for example, for prospects and even for lining up new clients where I've been able to showcase my work that I've been able to incorporate for myself. So more often than not, alongside me sharing the results of clients, if I can also showcase the results of what I've been able to achieve based on the work I've been doing, then it allows people to trust me more, to know that I can do the same or if not better for them, right? And I suppose if you are a service operator in that sense, and you're working within the B2B space, trust is a very important element to things. And you need to ensure that you actually have a documented folder, a living, breathing folder of all the sort of accolades and achievements that you can contain in one place where you're able to reach out for it and showcase it and share it as and when. And just use it as a way to also document the journey, to showcase the journey of you being able to be from A to B, from being in a position where you may have not necessarily had many people aware of you and what you do, but then through the elements of PR and marketing and being able to reinforce yourself in various different elements, whether it's you speaking on a podcast for the first time or whether it's you writing about a thought leadership piece within your industry or niche for the first time, or even being able to, you know, be in an interview process on live TV, whatever it is, anything that involves you showing that level of credibility and positioning yourself as a thought leader is where that goes, right? And alongside that, I did say that the second section is the website press page. And I feel that every single business owner who is building a personal brand should really have a press page, a page dedicated to showcase and document to whoever lands on your page the fact that you have press. You have been featured in various different publications. You've been featured in various different podcasts, for example. You have been able to earn certain awards. You have been a judge. With my video that I put out yesterday, I flagged that I was a judge. I'm a judge for the upcoming CIPR Excellence Awards. Those things are the things that you need to put in a documentation of a place, as a place that you can serve as a way that you can showcase your authority as and when. And if you have it as well on a press page, then it just allows you to document and showcase to those who actually check out your content or those who check out your work, right? What that looks like. And you know what? I wasn't even planning to share this actually, but let me actually see if I can share my screen real quick. I think this video is going to be a bit long, but you know what? If you're locking in with me, stay through, because I guarantee that the rest of the touch points are going to make a lot of sense and will be extremely useful for you to incorporate within your brand when you get media coverage for yourself as well. And also, if you are actually interested in how you are able to get said coverage, or even if you haven't been able to get coverage as a founder as of yet, let me know in the comments below if you are interested in a video, a masterclass, in fact, a video masterclass showcasing exactly how you are able to secure your first piece of coverage, right? If you let me know in the comments, I'll be more than happy to provide that masterclass video for you. All right. So what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to go and share my screen. See if this works. All right, cool. So this is my website at the moment. So I actually need to get it updated. And funny enough, I will be updating it, and I'll be using Claude and I'll be using chat. ChatGPT to redevelop my website. So I'm going to document that approach as well and do that on video. So that should be interesting because I've been seeing a lot of like content on LinkedIn of people who's been able to make like fantastic looking websites with AI. So the way that I use AI all the time, I figured that I might as well give it a go myself to just refresh and refine my website as well. So just letting you know for reference. But let me share my screen. All right, so this is my press page for my website, right? So when you go on my website, for example, you can just see my face right there, what I'm about, who I am, who I help. And then with here, you can go on press. And then here is a few of the actual places I've been positioned or I spoke on, or I've been placed on or in, whether it comes down to the thought leadership piece or podcast. So yeah, this is more of an archive of where I've been sharing and showcasing my expertise in various different formats. And the amazing thing when it comes down to incorporating this press page is that it's always a reinforcement of how far you've come and able to position yourself as a thought leader and the obvious choice, right? So yeah, it's all various different publications as you can see. And for me, that's the reason why I say that the authority assets are super important when it comes down to the initial elements of what you are doing when you are looking to build an effective brand, right? Get your authority assets in check and make sure that you have them ready to always have available to reinforce why you are the obvious choice, right? So that's the authority asset part. And then let me get my pen back. I think this is the one. So what we're gonna do now, let me see if I can write this. I'm gonna have to be, I don't know why I kept it so close now. So is this, hey, all right, we're going through a bit of a, is it this one? All right, cool. Let me go back. So the next one I'm gonna put is newsletter. Oh, wow, this is it. This is newsletter. By the way, when I'm done with this, if you are interested in the actual version that I've put together as well, because I have a version that I'm going to have in my masterclass. But if you're interested in the actual version, then let me know and I'll send you the actual version that I have available to me as well, and I can pop it over. If you're looking at this and you're thinking this handwriting is crazy, I hear it. I'm getting there. But yeah, let me know. Comment below, reach out to me, and I'll be sure to send it over as well. But from that, hopefully through the process, you can even see for yourself what it looks like. So anyway, let me get into this as well. So that's newsletter. So I'm going to put that as number 3. So with the newsletter, that's just another additional touch point. And it allows you to use that piece of media coverage. And you can use that in different ways, really and truly, when it comes down to your newsletter. You can either use it as a way to let your readership know that you've been featured in this particular publication, for example, and then you can share an extract and then you can share the direct link back to the actual page. So that way it reinforces that what you're saying is actually factual and it's correct and it's true. And they're able to look at that and be like, you know what? Wow, that's actually really cool. Or you can actually kind of spin it and make a point known of how you were able to secure said coverage. So even for myself, being a brand authority strategist, a lot of the work that I do by leading by example, the newsletter content that I would put out would be me explaining the process of how I was able to do that, how I was able to be put in these particular publications, how I was able to speak on these particular topics, right? That is what I would personally talk about or write about when it comes down to the newsletter. But you have to gauge it based on your audience and what your audience would want. Based on you building that level of brand authority and you're looking to build that level of credibility, then I would imagine that you would go for the part of reinforcing that you've been featured in this particular publication and sharing it with your readers for them to have a look directly so they're able to see exactly what you're getting up to in real time in a way that adds to that level of credibility because they're seeing you being positioned in so many various different places and from you just reaching out and letting them know what's happening in your world and your ecosystem. That just adds more trust to the actual process of you brand building, right? So that's the reason why I have newsletter for number 3. And then the number 4, I don't know. You know what? Let me, I'm going to rub this out actually, because I've put them too close to each other. It's too close. And now I'm going to have to cheat a bit because now I'm using the actual mouse. So, you know what? I'm going to have to use the mouse a bit so I can just get it done properly the way it needs to get done. Cool. I got so much to learn about this, you know, but this is actually pretty cool. So I'll put this one there. There we go. Then I'm going to put this one here, so space it out. And then this one I'll put here. I think that's cool. That should be all right. All right, so we're back in the room. We're back in the room. Article is next. Article is next. And when I say article, I'm referring more to an article that you can write on Substack, right? That is what I'm talking about. Because with the way that I work with my clients and myself as well, for B2B founders, I believe that the primary platforms that you should be using as a non-negotiable is YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, right? And I believe I've done a video already, but I may do another one talking about how you're able to get to the level of brand synergy, incorporating both or all three, three platforms into one, where you're able to document and showcase the content into a loop of content that reaches various different people in different ways, right? But for argument's sake, the whole point of now you got the media coverage, now turn that into a thought leadership piece within your owned media, within your ecosystem. And then now that you have a platform like Substack, you can ensure that you are able to then develop a thought leadership piece off of the back of what you wrote about and what you published on this particular um, publication, right? And that is also very effective because it gives you an opportunity to provide more clarity to it. It provides you more insights into it, or more additional sort of context or data, or just knowledge that you wasn't able to fit in the actual piece, right? So it just allows the extended life of the publication to live on through the additional words that you're able to share on your Substack, right? And that's the reason why I put Substack as your fourth touch point. So with that, I'm going to put a little number 4. All right. So number 5, we have Instagram. So Instagram is another one. This one I deem more as a secondary platform when working with clients, but it's still very much effective and it's still very much useful. And with Instagram, what I think is quite interesting now more so, and to be fair, I did initially say 10 touch points, but we could potentially even split it as 2, because although we have Instagram as number 5, which I'm going to put here, Instagram is just more of a normal post, but you can post about it in various different ways, right? You can post about it in just you having a picture of yourself with the actual headline, talking about the actual topic at hand, and you can explain more in the actual caption. Or you can add, so I'm just going to add another section here just for reference. You can do the carousels. And I find that the carousels are actually picking up quite a lot. Oh, let me do that 6 again. That 6 is whack. Let me do that one again. All right. I think that is better. Cool. The carousels are becoming increasingly more popular, and some people just like to see what you have to say as well. So even if you decide that you're going to take particular screenshots of the actual article that fits within the mobile, and you're able to do a carousel where you're able to slide through the pieces of content for people to read through on platforms like Instagram, that is also an effective way of also giving it more shelf life and being able to share it across not only your Substack now, but then now your Instagram users, and you can do it in various different ways. If you want to extend it, you can even potentially do a single post with a picture of yourself and the headline with a bit of context. And another week, you can even then do it again and add the carousels. And then you can do somewhat A/B testing to see what makes the most sense for your followers who's following you on Instagram to see what they actually prefer from you in that different format. And then from there, you can just rinse and repeat until you get something that works in your favor. And then you know that's something that your audience on Instagram will prefer, right? So that's one thing. So now we're on 6. So we're going to be having an additional bonus, which is completely fine, but just one that I wanted to kind of flag and raise awareness of as well. So now that we have that, we got the carousels, and then we have, oh, let me put this back. And then we have LinkedIn. All right. LinkedIn is number 7. And LinkedIn, and you know what I'm going to do actually? I'm going to mark my primary platforms here. Cool. So LinkedIn is a no-brainer. LinkedIn as a B2B platform, that for me is probably the most effective place to reposition your publication, your piece that you earned, and showcasing it to the world and letting people know how much of a credible authority you are in your field. Because that third party credibility, it goes a long way. And when you actually are able to showcase yourself through the lens of PR to your desired audience on a platform like LinkedIn, it somewhat automatically gives you that level of credibility, because people are not only seeing you as someone just on LinkedIn, but they're seeing you as someone that has something worth saying if you are positioning yourself in these various other sort of platforms and publications as well. And the fact that you're able to just reinforce that to your desired audience is going to make you look that more appealing for when it comes down to prospects and potential clients who are going to want to learn more from you. Because, you know, it's very interesting when it comes down to perception, and PR perception is a king in that sense, because you alone just being able to be positioned in the media is such a big thing that not many people are able to do. They're not able to realize that into an actual thing that they can have to say that I've managed to get myself a press opportunity. And that comes a long way, and you can do so much with it. And that's the reason why I'm showing you all these various touch points. So alongside you being able to reach your B2B sort of audience through LinkedIn and reaffirming and reinforcing who you are through that, you've now done it on so many other different platforms. And it's quite interesting when you're able to go through these platforms and you're able to dissect this one piece of coverage in various different ways. And then you're able to actually capture the data to see what particular platforms took much more of a liking to it, which platforms wasn't necessarily really appreciating it as much as the other platforms. And then once you're able to start understanding that, and then you're seeing how you're able to expand the shelf life of a PR article, an article in general, you'll never forget this once you know this. Once you get this opportunity and then you get that, you have to squeeze every bit of opportunity out of that and utilize it to your benefit, right? So this is gold. This is gold, man. This is gold. So we are at this part here. So you know what? Let me see if I can move it a bit. If I do that, there we go. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this for a bit and put this down a tad. So now we are on number 8. And number 8 is, let me see if I can do this correctly. YouTube. YouTube is number 8. Right? And YouTube is self-explanatory. you would have saw the other day, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I secured a piece of coverage for myself where I was featured in PR Daily talking about the importance of PR professionals learning how to PR themselves and how it's important, it's vital in this day and age, right? So for me, it was really something that I felt was effective for me to not only get that opportunity, but to be able to actually record myself and just talk about it. And I think that is something that is going to shift a lot of content ideas, and it's going to really flip the script, in my opinion, on how people effectively incorporate themselves within their own PR articles and outreach, right? Because I'm going to definitely try this out more with my clients as well to document their process of being able to speak on the opportunities they've secured, because that is what provides that level of trust and that level of authenticity when you're just providing a lot more detailed insights and the behind the scenes, I would say, behind the actual content and behind the actual outreach and behind the actual successes through the PR and the articles and the different media opportunities you get as a result. And I think that having that sort of behind the scenes lens, I think is something that not many people do. I haven't actually come across anyone that has done it as of yet, but maybe I haven't been looking in the right places. But when I started doing it, I was thinking, wait, why is no one else doing this? Because you are ultimately using it as a way to reaffirm and reinforce your credibility, as mentioned. But then it's you that you're able to do the video, sharing much more insights in a way that no one else will be able to do, because not only did you, for example, write that for leadership piece, but then now you're able to record talking about how it was published in this particular publication. And then as a result, you are now able to add more detail and add more context or even more clarity to the actual conversation. And then with that, you're able to then repurpose this particular bit of content to all the various platforms that I mentioned. So even the platforms, like I said, with LinkedIn, and even before that, I need to mention that YouTube is another one of the primary platforms. So we have the YouTube, the LinkedIn, and the Substack, right? So imagine now that you have the video content based on this article, and then now we haven't even got into the video yet. But then just that alone, you then now are able to repurpose the video into your LinkedIn, and you're able to repurpose it onto your Substack as well as your Instagram. You could even add it to your newsletter if you're being honestly. And that is where I talk about the element of YouTube being so incredible, because once you get into the mode of being able to do the video content and you're able to repurpose it across the board like that, it's mind blowing once you get to that stage and you're able to continuously repurpose that said video content across all those platforms that I mentioned as well. So that alone just increased the touch points to what now? Initially, I said we're at 11, but granted, we're now incorporating the video to it. That easily becomes 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 pieces just from one piece of coverage. I'm not even done yet, but that I'm not going to mention the other ones, but that is just a point of reference, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these arrows. But hopefully you understand what I mean when it comes down to you being able to stretch that content so far and wide. It's crazy. So now we are going to get to this section here. So I'm going to put another line here and I'm going to call this part amplification, right? And then amplification for me is in my authority flywheel. That's part of the process of how I'm able to help clients develop these content strategies and then branch it out and broaden it out to hit all the various touch points. And then one of the touch points, if I move it over here a tad, nice. And then I'll bring it back to the pen. Actually, no, we don't need that. So now we break this apart and then we're going to do another 1, 2, and 3. And then you can guess what these ones will be now. You have TikTok. You have YouTube Shorts. And then you have Instagram Reels. So now you see that this is now 9, 10, and now 11. Because remember, I did add the carousel. And then if I move this here and I just zoom out just a tad, this is it. This is it. This is the way you are able to get one piece of media coverage, right? And you are able to break it down into this whole ecosystem of a content strategy that allows you to squeeze out 11 plus touch points, right? With one media coverage, right? And then with the sort of the shorts, it's self-explanatory. The YouTube video as a long form is now broken down into various clips that are then incorporated and redistributed across TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. And that is the way that you have now literally amplified and stretched out the duration of that particular media coverage, right? And honestly, if you are working with an agency and they're not breaking down this particular these touch points in a way like this, then click in the description box down below and let's have a chat. Let's have a serious conversation, because if you get your coverage and you ain't stretched out this wide enough to be able to hit so many relevant touch points and then be able to capture that data to then see which ones work, which ones stick, which ones should we stick to? Because by all means, like honestly speaking, you may not need to be doing so many different touch points. You may just have your one particular set of social media platforms that you incorporate within your business and you utilize and you know that they work. However, from this, I'm just showing you how you are able to break down one media piece of coverage, one media coverage into 10 plus touch points. Because if you can do that and get that amount of coverage and that amount of content with one piece of coverage, what happens when you are securing multiple across various different publications? It just allows you to have that level of amplification in a way that makes you the key person of influence and the obvious choice, right? So that is it for this video. If you stayed around this long, then I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Please drop a comment down below if this video has helped you and if this video is something that you're going to come back to in order to see how you are able to develop those touch points, right? Just as a recap, your one piece of media coverage will go towards your authority assets, right? So what I'm going to quickly do just for effect here, these are your authority assets, your evergreen portfolio, your website press page, and then you get to your newsletter. You break it down in the newsletter, you break it down via your Substack, your Instagram, and then you can even develop carousels as well to see how the performance goes with those. Then you move it over to your LinkedIn, where you're able to create content there as well in various different ways. We haven't even gone through the various functions you can do on LinkedIn, but that's a story for another day. That's additional touch points. But by then, I hope that you catch my drift, right? I hope you get where I'm coming from. And then your YouTube. And then once you get your YouTube, then you focus on the idea of amplification. And then once you've amplified it across your TikTok and your YouTube Shorts and your Instagram Reels, you have now 10 plus touch points of you being able to amplify and showcase why you are the key person of influence and the obvious choice, right? So that is it. If you are interested in the actual, I suppose, the final version of this, right? I have the final version that is in my masterclass document. But if you are interested in having it for reference as well, let me know, drop a comment, get in touch with me, and I'll be sure to send it over to you, right? But on that note, that's it from me. Thank you very much for tuning in. You know, I owe it to you because I didn't have any content to record today. I was slacking, but either way, every single day I'm dropping a new video. So consistency is a must. But I wanted to give this to you as an apology for not making sure that I'm on point with my recordings and bulk recording the content. But based on that, I think you got a lot of value for this. And if you agree, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out. Look after yourself.